My name is James Kreppner. I'm a retired lawyer, and I also have hemophilia. And because of the hemophilia, I received contaminated blood products and was infected with both HIV and hepatitis C some years ago, probably 25 years ago, around there. I think it's really, I'm in a situation now where the HIV seems to be stable. I seem to be able to survive the HIV, but my liver is on the decline, and it will kill me if I don't get a transplant. I think it is somewhat ironic that the negligence of the medical system put me in this situation to start with, where I am desperate for a life-saving measure like a liver, and it's being denied to me. And I think that's why we're advocating that people with HIV have the same rights to medical access for treatments, including transplantation. And yet that is not being respected here in Canada. It is being respected in the US, it is being respected in Europe. But for some reason, people who need livers, who are also HIV positive in Canada, cannot get them. And that is a fact. Now, if you're wealthy, you can travel to one of those other jurisdictions and get a liver and, live after that. But if you're not wealthy, well, then it's just expected that you die. And that should not be acceptable in a country like Canada. It's a matter of simple discrimination. And it is shocking that it is happening in this day and age where I thought we'd moved long past that. Liver disease is a major problem for people with HIV, both because of the effect of some of the HIV drugs and also because of the heavy percentage of people with HIV who also have hepatitis C. And it's a growing problem. It's a problem that has to be resolved. It has to be fixed. And liver transplants are the final recourse in that battle if you cannot cure the hepatitis C. We have asked for government action on this. We've asked them to set up a center for excellence, which is something that has occurred in the US. We have asked for money to be spent to train our doctors, to train our physicians and experts, pharmacists, other people that will deal with people that have transplants that are co-infected. And nothing has happened. There's been no action whatsoever. My life is at risk at the current time. And if the government doesn't take action, I'm worried that this film may be seen by you after I'm gone, when there really was no reason for me to be gone at that time, that I could have been saved. So it's just a plea, hopefully not from the grave, but potentially from the grave, that this not happen to others, that we have to, we have a medical care system, we want to keep it one of the best in the world. We are not living up to the standards of what is happening in the US and what is happening in Europe. And it's time we did. And I think it's a question of simple ethics. And I think it's a simple question of not having discrimination in this society against people with HIV. The other benefit a liver transplant would have is I would no longer be a hemophiliac after a liver transplant, because that is the organ that produces the factor that causes people to bleed or not bleed. And that would save the system thousands upon thousands of dollars in money. And so even from a purely fiscal sense, if you had no morals, no compassion, no ethics, just from a fiscal sense, it really does not make sense to deny people with hemophilia livers. And it doesn't make sense to deny anyone access to livers, especially in the era of living organ transplants, where you can find donors who will give you half their liver and their livers will grow back to full size. So the specious argument you sometimes hear is, well, there's a shortage of livers, so we have to be very careful about how we hand them out. Well, that's partially true, but it's not really true because there's a way around that now. So given all that information, it's time that we give people the medical care that they're entitled to in this country and not stop making excuses, stop trying to bury issues and not address them. I hope I'm making a difference by saying that. Individuals with hemophilia who have end-stage liver failure would be entitled to get a transplant and would be given a transplant. Individuals with any type of viral hepatitis would be given transplants if their liver required transplant. But because I've got this added factor of HIV, which doesn't seem to be a barrier anywhere else in the world, but in Canada it does seem to be a barrier, I cannot get a transplant. And I think the days of discrimination have to end in this country. Bury